pre-show.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Good. Hello, everybody. Welcome into the pre-show for the free show. I'm Greg. That is Ashley. We're here doing this internet show. I'm not sure if you have anything for the pre-show.
Not really, no.
Boy, we're really bringing the heat today. We got a big show today.
I thought we have something for the pre-show.
I know, but that's only about a minute. So, because
Oh.
it is a minute. But this is the pre-show for the free show. I'm trying to think of
If someone could tell me where the State Mariachi Festival is going to be held, that would be great.
Do we not know?
It's the only state championship that has not had a site determined yet. Everything else has.
Really?
But I'm going through all of my. We had our big meeting about state championship planning, and that's the only one that's kind of like, well, you don't know.
Because it was in the valley.
Which rocked.
And then they moved it to
It was
Seguin.
Yeah. Which Seguin has an unbelievable performing arts center, so it's not surprising.
Right.
It was just sad.
Well, sure. I mean,
because then I didn't get to go to the RGB.
Right.
That's really, honestly, the only.
That's
reason
nothing
that
against
it's sad.
Seguin.
No.
Seguin is good.
Yeah.
The official stance of this program is that Seguin is good.
Yeah, it's perfectly fine.
The official stance of this program is also any opportunity to go to the Rio Grande Valley we want to take.
Yeah, and it didn't give me a reason to call ISO on State Mariachi and go to the Rio Grande Valley.
And you could have. Nobody's stopping you. You should have. You know what you should do?
I probably could have told our president that it was
Absolutely.
in the RGB, and he would have known. He cares about that kind of stuff.
I'm just telling you, here's some advice, just generally, just lie.
Well, if it wasn't a state championship, I probably could have pulled it off. Like if I would have said that there was a really important playoff football game, like he would have been like, okay, yeah, sure. Seems odd, but head on down. The fact that it's a state championship event means he's.
What do we got to do to get a championship event in El Paso? Like, what could move there? Volleyball's in Garland. I feel like we can move that to El Paso, right?
I don't think that's gonna work.
I feel like that's a quitter's attitude. I feel like you got what's important to you. Let's talk about what's in your heart here. You know?
Here's the thing. You have to rephrase your question. You don't need to ask me what's important to me.
Yeah.
Because going to El Paso is important to me.
Yeah.
But to 99% of the population, especially the players that would have to go from, if an East Texas team made the state championship, 10 hours, convincing them to go 10 hours.
More than 10.
To El Paso. Yeah.
It's 10 hours from here.
So 12 hours.
I just feel like we need to even it out a little bit. That's all I'm saying. All that's to say is I just want to go to El Paso.
I think that we should host the football state championships at R.R. Jones and call it a done deal.
You have no complaints from me.
No
complaints from me.
That rules.
There is one other thing to do on the pre-show, Pickle. As you know, we like to wrap up the NFL weekend by talking to our NFL insider. And so here, with the NFL Minute, is my mom.
Hi, this is Tep Mom reporting the NFL moment for this week. I'm going to recognize Jerry Hughes of the Houston Texans. He actually went to Fort Bend Austin High School. He's a TCU grad. He got drafted by the Colts, played for the Buffalo Bills for 8 years before coming home this year to play for the Texans. He's a defensive end and had a sack on Kenny Pickett, the quarterback for Pittsburgh, who they beat 30-6. 2 in a row for the Texans. Thanks, guys.
Thanks to our NFL insider, my mom, for that
rocks.
exclusive report. This is like we pride ourselves, I think, on being comprehensive on this show. And the NFL had been a real hole in our game.
Yes.
But luckily, we have a trusted source and a trusted voice on all things NFL. So that's like we're lucky to have her.
Schefter.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. Thanks, Mom. Hit the theme, Expo.
Pickle!
interesting. Yes, y'all. From the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Mothership here in beautiful Lewisville, Texas, it is Texas Football Today, a program on the internet. My name's Greg Tepper. I'm the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football magazine, TexasFootball.com, a corresponding website. Thank you for spending part of your day with us, whether you're watching us live, TexasFootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, all of the places, or you'll listen to us on the podcast, which you can subscribe to on the podcast vendor of your choice. Either way, thank you for doing your part to support your local mediocre internet show. I'm sitting over there at the helm today, making us sound good. She is the Duchess of the Dorks, and even though it's freezing outside, she's got the guns out. She's Ashley Pickle.
Dude, this is the best of both worlds. It's a sweater, so it keeps you warm, but you also get to show off the cannons.
Wow.
I have figured out life.
That feels like I don't want to tell you how to do fashion, but that feels like the equivalent of shorts and a hoodie, which is God's outfit.
Yes, this is the best article of clothing I've ever bought.
Wow. Shout out you.
Thanks.
Shout out you.
I'm trying to win at life.
Today
I'm winning at life.
Today is Tuesday, October 3rd, 2023, 51 days to Thanksgiving. Happy birthday to Hank and Max's Uncle Jeff.
I was really confused for a second. I was like, I know when both of your sons' birthdays are.
No.
And they're not today.
No.
We're on the same day.
Uncle Jeff, my younger brother.
Let's go. Happy birthday, Jeff.
Today's his birthday.
That's my Facebook friend.
Oh, you guys are Facebook friends?
I'm 99% positive. I think so.
I think I'm Facebook friends
I've
with my
met
brother.
him.
Yeah, you have met him.
The WrestleMania.
At WrestleMania. He came to WrestleMania. That's right.
Shout out, Jeff.
I think he might spend, this is true, I think he might spend part of his birthday coming to Hank's baseball game tonight.
Oh, that rules.
So,
shout out Uncle Jeff.
Happy birthday, Uncle Jeff. It's episode 51 days till Thanksgiving. I think I said that. Episode 1663. On today's show, folks, we're going to talk a little Aggie football. Going to talk with our friend Jay Arnold of Aggie Warpod about all things A&M as they head into a quite large game as Alabama comes calling to College Station to take on the fighting Texas A&M Aggies. So we will talk with Jay Arnold coming up here in just a moment. And then back half the show, we'll be joined by the Hall of Famer Craig Way, as we always are here on Tuesday. We'll talk with him. Talk with him about all things Texas high school football. We'll round it all out with the Dave Campbell's Texan Live Top 10 Plays of the Week, which once again have outdone themselves. So make sure you stick around for all that. Do we have first four through the door?
Sure do. Big jiggly water balloons. Tony Blaylock, Ed McElroy, and Daniel Agnew. Welcome in, fellas.
Just what is possibly better? Nothing. Want to remind you to become a Dave Campbell's Texas Football subscriber at TexasFootball.com/subscribe. You get 3 magazines, including our legendary summer edition, and Dave Campbell's Texas Football Rising, our recruiting edition, which we're working on right now. We're going to get into, you'll get that, plus you get a year of exclusive online content at TexasFootball.com, including a new episode of Tep and Step, which dropped last night, and you get a year of Dave Campbell's Texan Live. So if you want to watch high school football games and high school events throughout the course of the year, but for now we'll focus the copy points on high school football games, you can go to Dave Campbell's Texan Live with a subscription from Dave Campbell's Texas Football, TexasFootball.com/subscribe. Pickle, there are a number of large college football contests coming up this weekend.
It's big college football week.
One of them is going down in College Station as the Alabama Crimson Tide will come calling to play the Texas A&M Aggies. And here to talk about it is our Texas A&M insider, the co-host of Aggie Warpod on the Dave Campbell's Republic of Football Podcast Network. It is our friend Jay Arnold. Jay, what is up?
Hey, how's it going, y'all? Happy to be on. Obviously, a big weekend coming up. How are y'all doing?
We're doing great. How are Aggies doing right now? Because it feels like it's been a
let's do a temperature check.
Let's do a heat check on the Aggie kind of the 12th man writ large. What's the heat check on Aggies right now?
I think manic would be a good way to describe the fan base at the moment. Honestly, I mean, obviously after the Miami game, a lot of strong feelings negatively. And then all of a sudden, the defense really starts showing up against Auburn and Arkansas. And now you have a whole bunch of mixed emotions, and A&M has a chance to take the outright lead in the SEC West with a victory over Alabama. And there are a lot of folks that are hopeful and a lot of folks that are realizing that Nick Saban with his back against the wall is perhaps not the most friendly animal to corner.
You mentioned the Miami game because I think that obviously that's the most high-profile game that A&M's played so far, and it didn't go particularly well. But since then, A&M has been really good and really kind of dominant over the course of the last 3 games, albeit not against teams as good as Miami. From your perspective, what has changed? What's the biggest or the few biggest things that have changed since that Miami game?
I think the biggest change that I've noticed, at least, is the aggression from the defensive line up front. Mm-hmm. It seems like DJ Durkin has kind of taken off the training harness and let those guys get after it, and it's been beneficial. I mean, you look at what A&M has done against Auburn and Arkansas these last 2 weeks. 30 tackles for loss over 2 games is just an incredible turnaround from what A&M had. Obviously, last year, A&M really struggled to rush the passer, and now you've had a plethora of sacks against Auburn and Arkansas as well. And you're kind of finally starting to see the results from that recruiting class that came in and was highly touted, especially on the defensive line. Obviously, there's still some concerns in the back end, but when you're able to pressure the quarterback as much as the defensive line has these past 2 weeks, it helps make up for some of those issues.
The other big question, talking with Jay Arnold of Aggie Warpod of the Republic of Football Podcast Network here on Texas Football Today. The other question is obviously under center. Connor Wigman is injured and out for the year, which objectively sucks. Max Johnson kind of thrust into the starting role. I thought he finished the game against the game against Auburn pretty well. And then I thought that he was pretty good against Arkansas. From your perspective as a guy who's watched this closely and who obviously has a great familiarity with Max Johnson as a kind of once and future starter, what have you seen from Max Johnson that has you either encouraged or discouraged heading into not only Alabama but the rest of the season?
Yeah, and look, when we came into the season with Wegman as a starter, I think I felt a little bit more comfortable knowing that Max Johnson was available as a backup, right? Like as far as backup quarterback situations go, A&M I felt like had one of the better ones in the country. There's some things that Max maybe doesn't do as well as Connor. One of the things that we noticed against Arkansas is there was a couple of fumbles. And part of that is Max Johnson maybe being a little bit too aggressive with his running. There's a couple times where I found myself screaming for him to get down and slide. But he's a tough guy, wants to get those extra yards, just needs to protect the ball a little bit better. Obviously, there was a pick six that Arkansas was able to capitalize on. You can't have turnovers like that against Alabama and expect to win. So that's the concerning side of it. The positive side of it is the weapons around him are so good, and he's done a good job of throwing the ball for the most part, that getting the balls to the ball to those weapons. And we talked about it earlier in the year with Bobby Petrino's feed the studs philosophy. You have a receiver like Evan Stewart who he wows me every week with some of the plays he's able to make, and getting the ball to him is something that Max Johnson seems to do well. And then perhaps the brotherly bond with his brother Jake Johnson at tight end seems to have been beneficial as well, because Jake Johnson has had a pretty good performance the last 2 weeks in his own right.
On the offensive side, you mentioned the guys like Evan Stewart. I don't think it's been really fun to watch, as you mentioned, but I don't know if there's necessarily anybody who's shocked that Evan Stewart is playing at an all-SEC caliber level. He's he's really good, and I think that was something that A&M fans were really excited about. Is there somebody on the offensive side that has been a pleasant surprise, somebody that you didn't necessarily see coming, that suddenly you look up and you're like, oh, that's a guy that I like when he's involved?
Yeah, these last 2 weeks in particular, it's been Le'Veon Moss, who has been just instrumental in getting the run game going. He's a guy that runs really angry, kind of wants to inflict the hit instead of being the one taking the hit. And I think you've seen it shown off against both Auburn and Arkansas. And, he's a guy that keeps his legs turning. And even when he gets contacted behind the line of scrimmage, it seems like he's always falling forward or breaking tackles. And getting that run game going is just going to be even more beneficial for Max Johnson and getting his confidence going. So Le'Veon Moss has been a real pleasant surprise for me, especially these last 2 weeks.
2:30 p.m. on CBS. It will be the Texas A&M Aggies welcoming in the Alabama Crimson Tide. This is obviously, I don't need to sell anybody on the importance of this game, but especially with at least the catbird seat of the SEC West hanging in the balance, it certainly has an even bigger bit of resonance to this game. I'm interested in what you are going to be watching for in this game. What are you keeping an eye on in this game that will need to happen if the Aggies are going to have a fun day on Saturday?
It's maintaining that level of aggressive play from the defensive line. If the defensive line's able to get after Milroe and pressure him, I think A&M has a really good shot.
Mm-hmm.
Milroe I think he's made strides as a passer. I think he's still a little bit underrated in that aspect, especially in the deep ball. I mean, he can hit the deep ball for sure, and that's an area where A&M has struggled in coverage. But I do think he struggles a little bit more with the intermediate stuff. I think he's made improvements there, but it's still an area where A&M can perhaps force some errors and get some turnovers. That will depend on the defensive line getting after Milroe. And it's this fine balance between keeping him in the pocket and still getting pressure. Because you obviously don't want Milroe to get outside, break contain. A&M has faced mobile quarterbacks in the past 2 weeks, but I think Milroe is just a step above as far as quickness, which makes it a handful to kind of keep him from gashing you. With that being said, I do think if A&M is able to get a lead early and force Alabama into a situation where they have to play from behind and hit some more of those intermediate routes, as opposed to taking deep shots or focusing on the run, A&M has a really good shot. And again, this all comes down to the defensive line versus Milroe.
He's Jay Arnold. You can hear his fine work alongside Mike Craven on Aggie War Pod on the Dave Campbell's Republic of Football Podcast Network. Jay, appreciate your time. Enjoy the game on Saturday. Don't stress too much. It's supposed to be fun. And
I will make no promises.
That's fair. I can appreciate that. Thanks, Jay.
Thank y'all.
There he goes, Jay Arnold, the Aggie War Pod, the Republic of Football Podcast Network. Good listen, Mike Craven and Jay Arnold, former Aggie defensive lineman himself, so he knows a little bit about defensive line. He is, to be clear, he is right that, I do think the difference for A&M has been on the defensive line.
Oh, yeah.
Also, he's biased.
Yes.
Because he's a defensive lineman, and I know that he's got such a real laser eye on how they're playing.
But that being said, when it actually is the correct issue and they're fixing it, he's like the Leonardo DiCaprio meme where he's sitting there in the recliner pointing at the TV like this.
Yes, absolutely. Anyway, it is Jay Arnold of the Aggie War Pod. Go listen to that on the Republic of Football Podcast Network. We appreciate his time. We're Texas Football Today. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. Coming up here in just a moment, we'll talk with the voice of the Longhorns, which is just exactly what you do whenever you're done talking A&M football.
Snip, snap, snip, snap.
Yeah. We're a balanced show here is really what we aim for. We'll talk with Craig Way about maybe some Longhorns football, but especially Texas high school football. But first, a word from these valued goods and services.
Born and bred in Texas hits a little different, as it should. Texans love doing business with fellow Texans. VCR now takes its Texas roots as seriously as its many partnerships with schools and universities around the state. It's also why we're so proud to promote our brand in the pages of the Texas Bible, Dave Campbell's Texas Football, and on the airwaves of Texas Football Today. Driven by producing quality broadcast video, state-of-the-art audio, and LED video scoreboards at affordable prices, VCR Now makes sure to listen to your needs in its athletic department before recommending the next best steps. Building great products is our business, and it's our focus on building meaningful, long-term partnerships with our clients that sets us apart. From our 24/7, 365-day help desk, the training lab in our hometown of Red Oak, or our sports marketing business plan that puts money back in the hands of our athletic departments we support, VCR Now is built to last. Reach out to us today at info@vcrnow.com or by calling 855-GO-VCR Now. Again, that's info@vcrnow.com or by calling 855-GO-VCR Now.
I feel like bustin' loose, bustin' loose. Come on, get on up. Oh yeah, get on up. Bustin' loose when you wanna sing. Bustin' loose, baby, do your thing. Talking about bustin' loose, yeah.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Potter, Executive Director of Be Well Texas. Too many people are struggling alone these days, and alcohol and drug deaths are increasing. We started Be Well Texas to offer high-quality, science-based addiction treatment and recovery services anywhere, even at home. We provide compassionate, caring support virtually or in person. In many cases, there is no cost for treatment if you don't have insurance. Really. Welcome to Be Well Texas. We're glad you're here.
Pickle, let's go to the hotline. The man that I trust to keep his pickup truck well lubed and well accounted for, well maintained. Let's go to the hotline and joined by the Texas High School Football Hall of Famer, our friend Craig Way. Craig, is that true? Can I trust you to keep your truck running in tip-top condition?
Even as we speak, I'm watching them pour 5W30 weight into my truck here at the oil change place. So absolutely, you can depend on that.
Actually, that's a decent question. How many miles do you put on your truck each year?
Yeah.
Do you have like a broad estimate?
Number.
I think now over last year it was split over a couple of trucks, and there was a vacation drive to North Carolina in it. So if you remove that, because that's about 6,000 miles round trip, counting all the driving on vacation. So if you pull that out, it's probably in the neighborhood of 180,000 miles.
God,
Good Lord. have mercy.
Oh, okay.
That's a lot of oil changes.
Glad we pulled out the 6,000 miles. I really was going to keep it from being a shocking number. It's Craig Way, the Texas High School Football Hall of Famer, joined us here on Texas Football Today. All right. So last week, Matt Stepp and I called the week 6 of the Texas high school football season with a lot of open dates and things like that. We called it the bag of cereal week because you're not getting the brand name. You got to go down and get the bag of cereal, but it's still good for you. How do you like when you take a look back at week 6 of the Texas high school football season, knowing that it was a lighter slate and knowing that maybe there weren't as many showcase matchups? Did you have any broad takeaways from last week's action?
I really filled up on the store brand Cocoa Puffs. I really did. I thought there was enough of what we saw from Columbus, Madisonville, and some of the other big ones that we saw. Obviously, the big 6-man game between Abbott and Borden County, and there were some others. So there were enough, I think, quality choices to carry the meal, even if you didn't have frontline Cocoa Puffs or Cocoa Krispies there carrying the breakfast for you.
So now we are into district play. Really across the entire state, it's you got to hunt to find games that aren't in district play. Early and there are some teams, a number of districts that have already started play. Are there any districts across the state that you are keeping a particular eye on, either because of bracketing implications, or simply because they're already cutting the brakes and things are getting wild? Are there any districts across the state that have your attention in particular?
Well, I think we mentioned this last week on the program when you and I were doing the the keys left to the kingdom and nobody minding the store with us. We talked about 19-6A and 25-6A and the similarities, but I still think it's very early returns on those precincts. We're going to wait. We'll get a better indication of in 25-6A here in the greater Austin area what Vandegrift's fate may be. This week's Westwood Vista Ridge game, I think, goes a long way toward pushing that one way or the other. And then in 19-6A, like you said, it's just a flat-out mess right now below Katy down there. So we'll have to kind of keep a close watch on what's going on with those two districts. Having said that, I've got my eye on one. I'm a little intrigued by Highland Park Berkner. What with Berkner beating Lake Highlands, the Lake Highlands team to beat Highland Park. So, I mean, just kind of keeping an eye on that and some other lower classifications as well. But that would be kind of a cross section, you might say.
I'll give you another district that caught my eye, and I can't quit looking at it, and it's basically because of what happened last week, and that is 13-5A Division II. This is the kind of Austin area, like Liberty Hill type looped in there, as well as San Antonio Veterans Memorial, San Antonio Piper, Kerrville-Tivy getting out in the hill country, kind of this weird amalgamation of greater central Texas powers. And it did feel like maybe we'd figured things out when, Kerrville-Tivy takes down Liberty Hill. Liberty Hill, okay, maybe this just isn't their year. But then Kerrville-Tivy goes and loses to Bastrop. That is a district in 13-5A Division II that I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around. And it does feel like there's always one or two of those districts every year where just chaos reigns, and we're going to have to sort out the tie. We know right now, 5 weeks before brackets come out, that we're going to need to have the tiebreaker abacus ready.
Yeah, and it happened in that exact same district 2 years ago, remember. They had all kinds of crazy things happening in that district right toward the end. So it wouldn't surprise me. Bastrop has shown some things early, and then they taken a smack or two, but I still think they can be a player in this deal. Obviously, the key players, Tivy and Liberty Hill, those ones are going to have to be reckoned with. But you're right. I think this comes down to weeks 10 and 11, the final 2 weeks of the regular season. And yes, roll out the tie-breaking procedures. I think we're going to see that. But then again, nerds like you and I live for that type of stuff, don't we?
That's exactly right. It's Craig Way, the Texas High School Ball Hall of Famer, joining us here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation at #TF Today. Okay, Craig, Pickle and I had an exercise yesterday on the show, and I want to loop you in on this, where we were trying to draw a line and a gap between teams as far as teams that are the most serious contenders, and then where you would separate them from the field. In 6A, we drew it after North Shore, with basically Duncanville and North Shore up at the top. In 5A D1, for example, we thought it's just kind of a Lido against the field. Let me ask you a question, and I want to go down. We mentioned Columbus earlier. I want to talk about 3A Division I. Our rankings this week: Franklin, Columbus, Malakoff, Hitchcock, Winsboro, Paradise, Edna, Brock, Pottsboro, and Muleshoe. Where in the world do you put that gap where you would separate these are the elite teams, and these are the teams that, with the right play, could certainly vault up into there, but right now you would put them in a tier below them?
Who did you have third again?
Malakoff.
Okay.
And then Hitchcock.
Yeah. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. This is going to sound a little weird. I think there's a little bit of separation between 2 and 3. Mm-hmm. I think and then there's a little bit more separation below 4. Mm-hmm. The top 2, I think, are the top 2, and we're already looking toward Sweet 16 weekend, mm-hmm. I guess, if it works out that way for Franklin and Columbus. But I think that there are plenty of, like you said, if it all falls right and they play right and get a break or two, to make that kind of deep run in the postseason. We've seen it in this division happen in the past, so it wouldn't surprise me at all to see it again. But right now, probably those top 2, Franklin and Columbus, I put them ahead of by a large margin, but a step ahead.
It's time for the meanest thing we do to one another. I'm going to be on the Craig Way Show coming up here at this afternoon on AM 1300 The Zone if you want to hear Craig do this to me. But it's the time where we ask each other to pick one game to go to this week in Texas high school football. Craig, I'll give you 3 options to teleport to. You can teleport Thursday night. Nice little Thursday night affair on Dave Campbell's Texan Live as a matchup of unbeatens in District 21-6A rather, between Galena Park North Shore and Humble Summer Creek. You can head to Gilmer, to Jeff Traylor Stadium, for a state-ranked matchup in 4A Division II between Pleasant Grove and Gilmer, or, and I know what you're going to say already, so why even ask it, you can head to Abbott for Aquila and Abbott in a state-ranked matchup of unbeatens in a District 12 1A Division I opener. Where are you heading, Craig?
Well, let me say this. All right, there's a couple of different things in mind. Choices 1 and 2, while good choices, are also choices to see. I think it's for Summer Creek, it's kind of a show me type of thing because unless somebody shows me differently, I don't see anybody better than North Shore other than perhaps Duncanville right now. We just talked about that. In the case of the second game, it's 2 really good teams, but who are we kidding? We know who the big ogre at the top of that mountain is in 4AD2. So okay, yeah, it's a great game, but can anybody knock off Carthage on down the road? In the case of 3, I think Abbott is probably a clear favorite over Aquila, but there are a couple of wrinkles that make this intriguing. We don't know an awful lot about Aquila for them to have the kind of run that they're on. And one thing that Terry Crawford said to us last week, he said they're big and they're athletic for a program that normally doesn't have that. So the question is, and it's one of those backyard rivalry things. So will that play into it? So that's why I'm intrigued by that, although I think Abbott certainly has the upper hand going in there.
He's Craig Way. He's the Texas High School Football Hall of Famer. You can hear him on AM 1300 The Zone in Austin every day, 2 to 4 on the Craig Way Show. Then you can hear him on High School Scoreboard Live Friday night alongside Aaron Hardigan and myself. And then you can hear him on the call on Longhorns Radio for Texas and Oklahoma this Saturday. Craig, appreciate your time. Thanks for taking some time out of your oil change to chat a little high school football with us.
Everybody get your oil changed. Keep your levels up.
Thanks, Dad. There he goes. Craig Way.
Bye, Craig.
The Texas High School Football Hall of Famer and a boom paw to the last. You heard Craig. What are you going to do? Tell Craig Way now? Go get your oil changed.
I mean, he's got to stay on top of that if he's putting on 180,000 miles a year. 180,000.
Shocking.
Like that's.
I was prepared for him to say like 100,000.
Yeah.
I was prepared for him to be like 100,000 and be like, golly, Craig, and then he nearly doubled it.
Yeah,
anyway,
that's.
The man loves to drive. And he likes to drive fast too.
Yes.
By the way. We appreciate Craig Way, as always. We're Texas Football Today. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. Coming up here in just a moment, the Week 6 Dave Campbell's Texan Live Top 10 Plays of the Week. But first, let's find out who won the Ozarka Fueled by Nature Team of the Week.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football, in partnership with Ozarka, is proud to honor one team from each classification with the Ozarka Fueled by Nature Team of the Week Award. The teams selected throughout the course of this program have exemplified the best in Texas high school football. Congratulations to this week's recipients of the Ozarka Fueled by Nature Team of the Week Award. We salute you. For more information, visit TexasFootball.com.
One last thing to do today, Schlee, and that is to roll out the Dave Campbell's Texan Live Top 10 Plays of the Week. Our friends at Dave Campbell's Texan Live has gone into the vault, put together the top 10 plays of the week that you can watch live on Dave Campbell's Texan Live each Thursday, Friday, Saturday. There was a Monday night game last night. It wasn't on Texan Live.
We did not have the die ball game last night.
Yeah, we didn't. Sorry. But we do have dozens and dozens of Texas high school football games, and here are the top 10 plays of the week here on Texas Football Today.
This one goes up the middle again. Tyler lowering the shoulder. Keith Tyler into the open field for the touchdown. Tyler's got a hat trick, his third score of the night.
3rd down and 2. Baker has the first down and more. There goes Baker inside the 10. Slips by a tackler and scores.
Hargrave looking to throw it again. Evading pressure to the far side, Holland Hargrave lofts it up. Jump ball in the end zone is caught. Touchdown Kingwood. From the 33, 2nd and 2, here's Jet Lewis. Heaving it, far side, jump ball is caught for a touchdown by Oscar Nana. A dime thrown by Jet.
Jenner going to go out wide. White looking to throw on 4th down. He steps, he tucks and runs. White picks up the first down, cuts upfield, and scores with 57 seconds left. The freshman making a huge play for the Pioneers.
Now at 10. Pass to throw, left side, pump fake, and picked off. A one-handed INT. Tristan Davis is out the gate, and see you later.
Flips it down the sidelines, got a man wide open, Reeves, one man to beat. Gets outside, there he goes. 93 yards, so Luke Reeves.
Touchdown Spartans. 2nd down and 4. Quick pass to the left side. Hurdles a man. And touchdown Wildcats. Holy cow.
Now that's could be a free play here. And Brown, did he get it? Yes, touchdown to Brandon Brown.
Little pitch out. Staying on his feet. Nice cutback. Now cutting up to the center of the field is Tenner. Tenner staying on his feet. Look at this run. Aaron Tenner is gone. Holy cow. 80 yards, and we're an extra point away from a tie.
There it is, the Dave Campbell's Texan Live Top 10 Plays of the Week. If you want to watch plays like that live and not have to wait till Tuesday to see them, go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe. Become a Dave Campbell's Texas Football subscriber and get dozens and dozens of live Texas high school football games each week on your device. Go there. Do it. Let's go over to Ashley Pickle for America's second favorite segment. Final thoughts.
I was going to say that 5th play in there, it was the Cy Ranch one-handed interception.
Crazy.
Holy cow. That was one of our spotlight games, and it was like, oh my God. He just mossed it and brought it in, and then to run it all the way back. That was insane.
Yeah, it was. It was a good week of game, a good week of plays in the Dave Campbell's Texan Live Top 10 Plays.
But if you ever want to share that with anybody, or one of the student athletes and want to show them that they made the top 10 plays of the week, we did upload that to our YouTube page, youtube.com/Dave Campbell's TF. So you can share that link.
Go check it out. That's going to do it for us. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. Thanks to Jay Arnold of Aggie Warpod on the Dave Campbell's Republic of Football Podcast Network and the Hall of Famer Craig Way for being our guests. For Ashley Pickle, I'm Greg Tepper. Vince Young, please come get your Player of the Year trophy. It's down there on the floor. We're just keeping it on the floor for you. We'll see you tomorrow on Texas Football Today.